All right, welcome in this episode of the Fantasy Six Pack 2023 Fantasy Baseball New York Mets team preview. I am your host, Jason Beckner. You can find me on Twitter at JRBex. I'm joined here by my co host, JP, and you can find him on Twitter at DapScout. If you want to go ahead and you can go ahead and subscribe to this Fantasy Six Pack channel, you can get tons of great fantasy baseball content all season long. And then from there, you can also head on over to fantasy6pack.net. You can subscribe to be a member today, get some of our award winning premium um, memberships there. And other than that, let's just jump right into it.
Right. Do it.
So, what we're going to talk about today is the New York Mets. So, first off, we got leading off is Brandon Nimmo, followed by Starling Marte. And then in the 3 hole, we have Francisco Lindor. Hitting cleanup, we got Pete Alonso. And then as fifth, we have Jeff McNeil, followed by Daniel Vogelbach, then followed by Mark Canha, then Eduardo Escobar, and then rounding out there is Omar Narvaez. So, the first four look awesome, right? I mean, those are just like compete with any other top four and any of these other teams. Some of the, I think, more questionable teams or players here is, I think one of the biggest ones, I'm sure it's near and dear to your heart, is Mark Canha. Right now, he's got an ADP of 331. So, I mean, to me, as a great OBP guy, especially in OBP leagues, I think he's definitely worth a flyer, especially at 331. But what are your thoughts on maybe Mark Canha going into the season?
So if you've been playing in OBP leagues for even the last couple of years, you know Mark Canha has always delivered. He's been an unheralded just deliverer of OBP nonstop. Is going to give you middle 15, 20 home runs and throwing some stolen bases. But I'm going to be so excited to see, again, Oakland A's fan, see what's going to happen when he actually goes into a different park than the Oakland Coliseum, which is just where home runs go to die. I think those power numbers go up. He was hitting 403, slugging 403 last year. I think that just is going to go up from here. I think you're going to see an OPS of north of 825 this year, along with, again, if you're an OBP league, you should know who Mark Canha is. He's going to be a great, third, fourth outfielder for you, and is just going to provide those OBP numbers all season long.
Yeah, exactly. I think another one of the maybe glaring issues here with this lineup is the power, right? I mean, we got Pete Alonso, right? We all know he's going to be good for 40 home runs. Outside of him, there's not a ton of power in this lineup. I mean, yeah, you got Marte, he might be able to get you like 15 to 20. He's kind of seen the power decline as he gets older here. Vogelbach's always had that persona of being this big masher. Haven't quite seen it, into those uber 25 plus home run seasons. As of right now, Lindor and Alonso are the only two hitters projected on Fangraphs of over 25 home runs. Do you think that's maybe going to be an issue going forward for this lineup?
Oh, absolutely. Look, there is a hole that we can't see in this projected lineup, right? Carlos Correa, who would have just been perfect for that piece. Let's talk about where he fits in.
Yeah.
But no, I couldn't agree with you more. Right? There's that power piece. Now, Polar Bear is going to just, Pete Alonso is going to just put up some great home run numbers. Vogelbach has the ability to do that, but can he stay healthy and can he go, 450 at bats? That's really kind of where I'm wondering because it's going to have to come from there. Maybe Mark Canha with 25 home runs if we're pushing it, but Sterling Marte is not the guy that's going to do that. Again, are we looking at Nemo possibly do it? I don't know. And Lindor, if you get 28, 29, would you be super excited if you got that from Lindor? Yeah, but
Yeah.
honestly, the person I think that's going to be the wild card here that could probably provide some additional home run numbers, maybe 15 plus, is going to be McNeil. Jeff McNeil is such an amazing hitter, and he had such a bad year last year, or at least for Jeff McNeil.
Mhm.
And I think that you give him the potential to stay healthy, you give him the potential to, bounce back, and that is going to be your linchpin there in the 5 hole. Uh, I am absolutely drafting Jeff McNeil as much as possible. He's heavily discounted. I can remember even 2, 3 years ago, he was going in the first 3 rounds. Jeff McNeil is the guy that you want to grab out of this lineup because he's going to be discounted. And even if he falls out, you're still going to get an amazing hitter with a 300 plus average. Always does amazing with his average.
Yep. Hit 326 last year, and right now currently has a ADP of 191. So yeah, that's the guy you're looking. Yeah, late teens, early 20s rounds. Great call out on that. Jeff McNeil. But I think what the Mets lack in offensive, they make up right with the pitching. So when we look over here and jump over to the starting rotation, we got newly acquired ace of the staff, Justin Verlander, and if that wasn't enough, we got a second 1B ace of the staff, Max Scherzer, and then follow that up with another newly acquired pitcher, fresh off from his career in NPB, is Kodai Senga, and then we even have another pretty dominant pitcher in his own right when he's healthy is Carlos Carrasco, followed up by another newly acquired pitcher in Jose Quintana. I mean, we other than Verlander and Scherzer, which we know those guys are just going to be, those guys are verified stud ace pitchers. Take them, first, second round without any question marks. I think the biggest question marks then come between Senga, Carrasco, and Quintana. Senga, right? We don't know what to expect. Does his game translate into the major leagues from MPB? He was great in MPB. I think he had, what did he have? Yeah, it's a 2.42 ERA career in MPB, which is awesome. But do we see, I don't know if we can count on quite those numbers coming over into the MLB. And I think his ADP right now is 201. Some other pitchers in that 201 range: John Gray, Lance McCullers, Patrick Sandoval. Is Senga someone that you are looking to target in any of your drafts?
Absolutely not. And I'm not even trying to hedge there. Right? Look, the Mets have amazing defense behind Senga. But the reason why, it's not because I don't believe in him, right? I've seen some people who have broken it down that know, baseball in Asia better than I ever will. But the price I have seen him in some of these early drafts is insane. Just like I don't know what his stamina is going to be like. We're dealing with 162 games. Obviously, he's not starting 162 games, but you're dealing with a much longer season. With just a whole different mix there that could either work for him because nobody's seen his, the way he pitches or the balls and things of that nature. But we've seen both sides of that coin where somebody comes across and just, does amazing, or everybody just lights him up, tires early. Maybe he's not up for wins because he only makes it 4, maybe 5 innings. There's so many question marks there, and I'm not willing to pay that price at all. He's not going to be on any of my teams unless suddenly something changes drastically in the offseason.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at his NFBC min pick is 101, which I mean, like you said, he's been going. That's relatively very high.
Right.
Other guys in that range, like Logan Gilbert, Logan Webb, Luis Severino, give me all those guys over Kodai Senga. Now, could take him at 201 and be rewarded for that, obviously, but that's not me. I'm not going to take that lottery ticket here on starting pitcher. And there's other options out there.
Sure. And look, I mean, let's look at these other two pitchers, right? You got Carlos Carrasco, who actually was somewhat decently healthy last season and was great-ish, for what he is, right? He's 35 years old, and with 29 starts last year, I mean, you got what you wanted. If you had Carlos Carrasco, you couldn't have been happier. If you got more than 20 starts, where I drafted him, I was like, just give me 20 starts, Carlos. He did what he was supposed to do. Jose Quintana, though, is going to be somebody I'm going to be trying to pick up on the cheap as much as possible. Because if he can provide even close to the ratios that he was providing last year, where he was providing sub 3 ERA, sub 1.25 whip, and, it's amazing, don't walk anybody ratios with, that's somebody who can easily fill in that 4th or 5th starter in anybody's rotation, or even 6th and 7th. You can get him super cheap in those. I would love to know his ADP is right now, but I can't imagine.
328. It's 328.
Anything 250 or less, or 225 on Jose Quintana, I'm throw him in there.
I mean, he's basically essentially coming off his career year as a 34-year-old. So to have an ADP of 328, I mean, that's almost criminal.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I agree. Yeah, I mean, Carrasco and Quintana are some great late round flyers as well, especially if Carrasco can stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, all in on the Mets starting rotation. I mean, I don't see other than Senga, I'd wait and if you can get him late, that's fine. But other than that, all in on the rotation for the Mets.
Absolutely.
But let's jump on over to the bullpen now here of the Mets. So right now we have Mr. Tommy Trumpets himself, Edwin Diaz closing after the miraculous year. Then we have setup men of Adam Ottavino and David Robertson. We also got some mid-rotation arms of Brooks Raley, Drew Smith, David Peterson, John Curtis, and then the long reliever / swingman of Eliezer Hernandez. Like I said, Edwin Diaz coming off, arguably one of not maybe his best in counting stats of saves, but ratio-wise, it's one of his best seasons of his career. And also, how could you deny one of the greatest entrances of a closer, maybe of all time?
Right.
No offense to Mariano Rivera.
Absolutely. The funny thing is when we were practicing this, we were talking about some of the closer songs that we remembered. I think we could name like 3 or 4 of them. And Edwin Diaz is, the trumpet song and the way the entire stadium lights up for it and is all bought in. I just don't know. I'm not a Mets fan, but when I
No.
hear that song and when I see how electric that stadium is, how do you not get excited? So look, I think Edwin Diaz is amazing. I definitely want to have him as a closer. The one thing I was going to point out, and again, this is something that we brought up in our practice before we talked about this, is I could not believe he's 6'3" and 165 pounds. That, I wish I would have never saw that because that just scares me. But at the same time, his stats will have proven out. But wow, that is skinny. I wish I could pull that off. But 6'3", 165, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's not your prototypical pitcher, let alone power closer. That's definitely alarming to see that too. But other than him, I mean, I don't really see too many names jumping off the page. Obviously, if Diaz goes down, I'd probably assume Ottavino would jump into that role.
Mhm.
If for whatever reason they wanted to go to David Robertson role, they could. I don't foresee that happening. I think it'd be Ottavino. So of these, the only two that I would even attempt to be targeting would obviously be Diaz, and then Ottavino. The one thing I did want to mention about Diaz too is I want to look this up. I don't covet closers all that highly, but some people do. As his ADP is now risen to 23, which to me that seems very aggressive for any closer. Tommy Trumpets or not, I'm not taking Edwin Diaz in the second round or any closer in the second round.
So here's the one thing I want to highlight on here, right? So a couple things, right? Is Brooks Raley. They got him from the Tampa Bay Rays, and being somebody who plays a lot of NL and AL only leagues, Brooks has been lights out, amazing out of the bullpen. If anybody could be the dark horse to jump those 2 setup men and go into setup, or possibly take over for Diaz if he got hurt. But if you're in a holds league or where holds is safe plus holds or holds are 1/2, really want to target Rayleigh. That is going to be somebody who's going to absolutely jump David Robertson, who I think is going to falter. Just looking at his year, just in 2021 with the Rays, I mean, we're talking a 4.5 ERA. He's going to get exposed. He just doesn't strike out people as much. Brooks is going to be your guy. The other person I want to highlight real quick is David Peterson. That's somebody that was in the rotation last year, and that's somebody who could definitely jump up again. There's so many injury question marks there that we just talked about, Carrasco, etc. I definitely would look at David Peterson as a late round pick, especially as somebody if you want to have as a lottery ticket that could jump into the starting rotation.
Yeah, really good call outs there. All right, JP, that's going to be the end here of the 2023 New York Mets Fantasy Baseball Team Preview. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so you can be sure to catch all of the other team previews that will be rolling out here soon. And then again, head over on to fantasy6pack.net, subscribe for any of those great membership, and then we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.